So why do you need an EPK? Now, just like having a CV, it's kind of an industry standard. You know, if you're going to go apply for a job, you'd have to have a CV to be able to go and apply for that job, unless it was, you know, sort of an entry-level job where it was given to you by a friend or a friend of a friend, or sort of an entry-level construction job, and you may not need it. But ultimately, you'd have to have a CV to get a job. And it's the same with an EPK. But there is a secret, and this is a secret that I've sort of stumbled upon the more and more I've worked with artists to help them build their EPKs. Now, in terms of what an EPK can offer you long term, like the secret weapon to it is basically your personal brand. So what an EPK is doing is actually helping you build your personal brand in an industry. Now, music is all about being favorable. You know, if you're a popular artist with a good sound, people will follow you and people will pay money to come and see you. So your personal brand is absolutely crucial in that element. If you act like an arsehole, people aren't going to like you. They aren't going to want to come and see you. It's really simple. But what an EPK offers you is a level of control over the personal brand that you emit. Now, why is that important? So from a marketing perspective, all companies will have what's called their marketing guidelines or their copy, and these are basically, you know, sort of parameters that they work within to make sure that the message they portray is consistent on a global scale. So for instance, McDonald's will always use the golden M with the red background. Coca-Cola will always have white Coca-Cola on a red background. These are like their brand guidelines. As an artist, you need to be thinking the same. You need to be able to come up with brand guidelines that say, okay, right, this is what I'm about. I'm a disco DJ, you know, my experience and my passion for music come from here. This is what I aspire to do. These are the people that I relate to most in terms of sound, and this is the audience I want to play to. If you were to ask yourself those questions and write them down, you would come up with a very basic brand guideline. From that brand guideline, you could then say, okay, because I fall into the disco like sort of scene, I want to make sure my color scheme for all my marketing is, you know, bright blue or a yellow or a pink or something. If, for instance, you're a techno DJ, it may want to be everything on black and white. So you then start to come out with these color schemes that allow for your brand. And within these parameters, your EPK sets this and holds this in. So all of your information that you push out to the world comes from this central location that you control. So for instance, someone's interested in booking you, you're a London artist and somebody is interested in booking you in Manchester. Okay, they don't really know you, but they've heard you're making a bit of noise in London and they want to bring you in. You have the ability to control what they perceive of you within your EPK. So you would use that corporate, that marketing brand guideline with all the information. They would then come and sit and say, yeah, we like what this guy is about. If, for instance, you didn't have this EPK or your EPK was inconsistent, what happens is it then become Chinese whispers. And as we all know with Chinese whispers, the longer the story goes on, the more and more it changes and differentiates. From a marketing perspective, it's very, very difficult to build a fan base if your story is forever changing and is inconsistent. The reason people love brands is because they have brand promises and they're consistent. McDonald's, I'll always use those as an example. You go into any McDonald's in the world, it's pretty much consistent. The chips you're going to get are exactly the same. They might have a variation based on geographics. So, you know, if you're in a certain country and a spice is very favourable, they may have a slight different sort of seasoning, but their chips and their burgers and their milkshake and a lot of their stuff is very consistent. People like that. I know if I go into McDonald's anywhere in the world, I know exactly what I'm going to get. If someone comes to see you at a festival, they know exactly what they're going to get. And your EPK gives you the ability to control that your personal brand and control it anywhere across the globe. So that's the secret weapon that an EPK has. It's not just an array of exciting images and a cool bio that's, hey, you know, the long-awaited DJ who's really pushing new boundaries. It's not really about that. The most significant thing from a marketing strategy perspective within your EPK is the ability to control your narrative. The more you control your narrative and the more consistent it is, the more people will, you know, if it's a consistent message, whoever hears that message in the world has the same story to tell. Oh, cool, man, I saw so-and-so play at this location. I saw so-and-so play at this location. He was really cool, like this was the vibe he brought, and it all aligns and it's consistent. And from a sort of a marketing psychology perspective, if it is consistent, it's easy to relay a message and it's easy to remember. So your EPK, the secret weapon within it is your ability to control your narrative. It's a really important tip. It's well worth thinking about. And, you know, when we get into sort of talking about some of these subjects later on, it goes infinitely deep in terms of what you can and can't touch upon. But the one thing I would say is, you know, create that corporate guideline, like your branding guidelines. This is what I'm about. this is who I relate to, this is who I want to listen to me, and this is why I want them to listen to me and where I want them to listen to me. You know, if you cover those aspects, you then have your demographic. You can then align your branding into that demographic to make sure you're going to be well received and it's going to work long term. So a bit sort of marketing mumbo jumbo, but hopefully it will help you, and it's quite a sort of a deep rooted strategy. Hope you enjoyed it. If you have any more questions, pop them into the comments below. If you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe. If you think this video is going to help someone that you know potentially, please share it with them. And yeah, until next time, I will catch you soon. Take care. Bye bye.